Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I believe I'm doing God's work.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Frailty, which came out in 2001, written by Brent Hanley and directed by Bill Paxton. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Matthew McConaughey's character, Fenton, who has gone to an FBI agent played by Boothe to tell him he believes he knows who the God's Hand killer is. He believes his brother is the killer, and as he starts to unfold the story about their upbringing with their father, we, the audience, question, are they really doing God's work?
I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart.
So this is pretty much a passion project for Bill Paxton. The script floated around Hollywood, I believe, for a little while, and I think every major studio rejected it. But somehow Bill Paxton managed to get hold of it, and he was like, this is great. Like, I really like this. I want to be in this. He got so attached to the project, he was like, hell, I'm going to direct this. You know? And I don't think we've seen Bill Paxton direct anything since 1980.
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads, eat them up, yum.
Fish heads, fish heads, fish heads. Oh my God.
What the fuck was that?
What the fuck was
Bill
that?
Paxton, what the hell was that? Well, it's safe to say, like, in the 21 years since then,
Yeah.
he's actually, honed his craft. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And he managed to get a budget together of $11 million. And the
not
film
bad.
actually made its money back and a little bit more.
Nice.
So it was fairly successful. It did go to, like, the film festivals. But it didn't have the budget to really mass promote this film.
Yeah.
And when it came out next to, like, Resident Evil and Blade 2. And, there was lots of, lots of summer blockbuster movies, lots of dumb action movies out, and Frailty kind of, it didn't get the promotion and it didn't get the mass appeal at the time, and it was kind of like a forgotten, film. Although those that had seen it when it came out were saying how bloody amazing it is. And now, 20 years later, this film is still as fantastic now as it was when it came out.
Yeah. I've been a Bill Paxton fan for fucking years. I think I always will be. And
Hell
I
yeah.
never knew he directed a movie. Like, it just, you just don't pop it up. When you're reading about somebody, you hit their filmography and then that's it. And I had barely heard about Frailty at all. Until, obviously, Gary said, look, we're doing it for the reviews. And I'm like, really? So, obviously, I hit Wikipedia and I read it through. And I'm like, how? How is this completely, how have I missed this? It happens a lot. I don't ever expect it to change. But I was already, I was just like, yeah, it's Bill Paxton. He's in it. He's directing it. I like the idea behind it. Yeah, okay, I did spoil it for myself, but who cares? But what really kind of does make me laugh is the character that he plays in this, the father, he would kind of bring back again 2 years later for Limp Bizkit's Eat You Alive music video, where he plays like the crazy ass dad in that as well. And yeah, I'd never seen that fish heads thing until Gary showed it to me, like before we turned the camera on. Like, dude, you need to see this. And I watched it, and you realize how much of an artist Bill Paxton was. Like I know we did Mortuary, Aliens, Terminator, True Lies. The guy would work, and he would put his passion and his heart into whatever he was doing, and you remembered him for it.
Oh, hell yeah. You remember him for every role he's ever been in or ever had, from, like, Weird Science to Titanic. Even the minor roles, you'll remember him. He has become one of the character actor of our generation. He's one of the best, and he is sorely missed.
Yeah, man, I was about to say, I miss him. I do. And the lineup in this movie as well. Like, so we've got Matthew McConaughey. He's playing Fenton Meeks, and he's at this FBI building waiting for Boothe, playing FBI Wesley Doyle. I'll be honest, I always see Boothe as evil.
Yeah. He just screams villain.
He does.
So I'm like, all right, he's FBI this time. All right, so he's FBI. He's the good guy.
He's the good guy. He's a good guy, right? And they sit down and they start discussing about how Fenton believes he knows who the God's Hand killer is. And we'd seen over the opening credits these paper snapshots of things, you know.
Well, Bill Paxton always said he was, you know, like one of his hobbies or one of his pastimes, he loves watching true crime documentaries.
Yeah.
He loves all the forensic stuff, and so that fascinated him. And he also explained that his inspiration as a filmmaker was Alfred Hitchcock.
Nice.
You know, the classics.
Yeah.
And so he really wanted to build a suspense Hitchcock mystery. And so, you know, he also believed that this opening title sequence, you know, helped establish that and gets you in the mood for what's to come.
Yeah, it did. Easily, it said to me, look, there's some shit going on, and you're not going to see much of it. It's already happened, but you're going to be coming in halfway through the story. And so when Powers Boothe, you know, he starts talking to Fenton, and Fenton explains about his brother. He's called him the night before. I will admit, the flashbacks were a bit jarring.
In what sense?
Well, like this first one where, you know, he says about how his brother called him the night before, and then it just cuts to the night before.
Yeah.
You know, and McConaughey sat there in his home, the phone rings, it's his brother tells him there's demons all over the place, he can't do all the work himself, and then he kills himself. And it cuts back to the interviewer, you know, them sitting in the office, and I was like, did that work?
It's the format of this film, though, where, you know, we're going to spend the entire time with Matthew McConaughey and Powers Boothe.
Yes.
Talking about his brother, the serial killer. And that is the, you know, like the wraparound story for the entire movie, which is a flashback to 1979.
Yeah.
And so the whole film is in flashback, but we do keep cutting back to the present day.
Yeah.
And so I can understand it is jarring, but like as a storytelling method, you know, like it immediately just becomes like a second language. You immediately know what the film's trying to do. I didn't really find it too jarring.
It wasn't the worst flashback I've seen. There was a better one later on when they're in the car and the camera goes with the rain on the window and transitions in. And like when he says about, it's 1979, there's this nice transition to take us back then. I was like, that works.
It was a beautiful cut to the the water on the screen being blown by the wind to the television screen as it pans out. I was like, yeah, that was some beautiful editing and film work there, which is why I highly praise Bill Paxton's eye for detail.
Yeah, just like I said, that first one, I was just like, I hope they didn't do any more like that, and they didn't.
It's the only other thing when you have, I mean, like if you study film or you know film, you've seen a lot of films, you understand like the false narrator. Like you're not going to be able to, even though we're being shown the flashback footage, it's his narration, it's his point of view.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't there when his brother shot himself, so
that's it.
So you're automatically you're in the mindset of this FBI agent.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to listen for the information that's been given, and this is a film that has a multi-layered script which really rewards your attention to the details or to the lines of dialogue, which will come back later.
Yes.
This film has so many setups and fantastic payoffs.
Adam is the God's Hand killer, Agent Dawn. He's the one you're looking for.
So they discuss about, obviously, why Fenton is so sure that his brother is the killer, and he starts to talk about his father and their upbringing. And so then we go back to 1979. I gotta praise the two boys playing the younger Adam, a younger Fenton as well. Matt O'Leary and Jeremy Sumpter. This whole family bit, I'm an emotional wreck when it comes to family shit. And it was just so beautifully set up. You know, these two brothers, they love each other. Their mother's already passed away at childbirth. So they're literally being raised by their hardworking dad, played by fucking Bill Paxton. You know, they've got this great house behind this rose garden in their small town that they live in. You know, they sing, they dance, they love hanging out, and you really feel the love. I would have loved fucking Bill Paxton as my dad.
Right.
Honestly, you know, Christmases in the Paxton house must have been fucking awesome.
It's great. And you watch him tucking his kids into bed.
Yeah.
You know, he kisses the youngest one.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it's really idyllic and it's really comfortable.
Yeah.
But you know it's not gonna last.
No.
And it is one of my favourite scenes in the film. It's when Bill Paxton comes back in to the kids' room and he's like, look, I need you to sit down I got to tell you something. This is really important. This has just happened.
Yeah.
I've had a vision from God who's told me I need to go and kill some demons. And he just like... But he's so sincere.
Yeah. Oh, he fully believes it.
And so, like, you're just like, like... How do you respond? But the film language here is what is really helping set up and foreshadowing what's to come. Because you see Adam and Dad, like, again, Bill Paxton's character doesn't have a name. He's called Dad or Father.
Yeah.
And again, it's because of the narration. Doesn't bother naming his dad.
No.
So it's just Father Weeks. Or
Yeah.
Meeks.
Father
Meeks is the family name.
Yeah.
But the camera work here is really good. The way it just slowly pans back, you know, just to show, like the distancing of the family. That's the wedge now that's going to tear this family apart. I mean, granted, it would. You know, you have the sequence the next day again with the narration where he's like, yeah, Dad next day dropped us off to school last night, never happened.
Was one of my favorite scenes.
And he's like, and Dad never mentioned it. And he's just like, and remember, kids, don't talk about what we spoke about last night. And it's just like,
Well, have a good day at school, boys. And remember not to tell anyone what I told you last night.
We won't, Dad. Bye.
Yeah, like that whole moment.
Yeah.
You know, the way the camera had gone back, and Adam was so sure with his dad. Yeah, Dad, I believe you. And Fenton's like, no. And like Gary said, it's driving this wedge between father and son and brother, and you're just like, you don't believe it. But there's a belief in Bill Paxton's delivery, the way that he is telling you, like, look, this happened and I have to do this. And you're thinking, he's got to be fucking mad. The next day, that beautiful drive towards school, and then the last final piece of don't tell anybody, and you see Fenton's face just like, I didn't know what to do. And he's sitting there in class and he's falling asleep because he's so tired. He's telling us through the narration that it was like a dream. He couldn't believe it. He wasn't too sure if he woke up or not. And then we also get this shot of Dad, Bill Paxton, going out and finding the 3 mystical objects that God is sending him out to get. Now, at first, when you see that shot of the barn, I'm like, oh, that's going to be his kill house. You know, God's like, come to the barn. But when he walks in the barn and you see that axe just in the stump with Otis written on it, I'm like, I'm starting to believe God is wanting him to kill people.
It's got like the heavenly light on it, hasn't it? It might as well have had the angels singing choir.
Yeah, well, that even happens later, doesn't it? I mean, he gets his axe, he gets his gloves he's not too sure about, he gets this silver paw, and you're thinking, okay, he's crazy, he's fucking crazy. But then he's waiting for his list.
Yeah.
And Fenton explains it's like a month. Like none of it is discussed for a while. But then Dad comes home and says, look, I got this list today while I was in work. And we're not talking he just sat there and wrote it down. We're talking flaming sword angel from heaven delivered the fucking message.
Now, again, like, whether he did or didn't see this angel is all because we've got the narration of this brother, like, in the present day talking about it. So it's like, do we believe him? Did he really see it? Us as an audience just saw what he thinks his dad saw. But either which way, he's got that list and he brings it home.
Well, that's it. But it put more belief into me that he, you know, in fairness, I'd already spoiled it, but Bill Paxton was delivering it so well that, like we said, he believed it. He knew what he saw. He wasn't... There's no reason for Dad Meeks to go mental. He's got a good job. He's got a good family. He's got good children. There's no reason for him just to go around killing people.
Well, it could have been a brain aneurysm or just something biological, not psychological.
True, but it's when he starts bringing the people back.
Yeah.
You know, we had that wonderful moment where the brothers were like, look, can we go see Meatballs again tomorrow in the cinema instead of going to school? No, I want to go see The Warriors because it's 1979. And you're just like, oh man, they're talking about films. And then we get that other part where they're sat having dinner and Dad was supposed to take them to the cinema, but he never turns up. And he finally comes home with this body on his shoulder and he drags the boys out to his shed. And Bill Paxton's realised that he wears the gloves because he's not supposed to lay his hands on the people until he gets them back. And then he takes off the gloves, lays his hand on the person, and like, I wasn't too sure, but they react when he touches them.
Well, they both react. They both have that like they're being electrocuted.
Yes.
They're being shocked.
Yeah.
And Bill Paxton, like, he explained to his kids, like, this will reveal the demon's true form.
Yeah.
You'll see it, and that you'll understand that what I'm saying is true. You know, and he has that reaction, and he has that shock, and they back up, and they both look fearful of each other.
Yeah.
You know, and the kids look terrified, like, what's Dad doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? And so as an audience, we don't really know what happened there. What transferred? Did anything happen?
No, the film does a really good job of running the line of, is Dad crazy? You know, is this all in his head and we are going along? Because it's being narrated to us by Fenton that Fenton believed his dad to be crazy, you know.
Well, there was supposed to be flashes and visions here.
Ah, right, yes.
Which, of course, don't appear until much, much later in the film.
Yes.
And that was because James Cameron, of course, good friends with Bill Paxton,
Yeah.
just went, how about you do that instead? And Bill Paxton was like, of course. I'll make those changes.
That's a good idea. I mean, that would have revealed too much of the twist too early.
Yeah.
If we'd seen the visions of what these people were doing, because the film really sets it up of, these are innocent people that... Well, no, the film sets it up that we're supposed to believe they're innocent people. But Bill Paxton is so sure he's never killed...
That they're demons.
Yeah, he's never killed a bad person in his life. He's never killed an innocent man. And it's like when they bring back the second victim... You know, he actually even gets Fenton involved. You know, he wants his boys to be part of this. God has told him that your whole family is going to be doing this. And Adam, that's what I really loved about the actor playing Adam, is that, you know, he's so young. Does he just want to make his dad happy? You know, does he really see the visions? You know, he doesn't want to upset his brother. His brother's telling him, look, Dad's crazy. He's killing people. We need to run away. And Adam's like, no, I don't want to leave. You don't realize that Dad is telling the truth. And is Fenton the crazy one? But they get the second victim back, and it's an oldish man, and they have it. And you have that great line from Bill Paxton after he's touched him, that he pulls his hand away and he's like, did you not think that anybody knew? God knew. And I'm like, yeah, you're so fucked, dude. Whatever you did, you're fucked.
You didn't think anyone knew about that, did you? But God saw you.
Dad, don't, please!
What? And you can't escape God's wrath.
But yeah, that's where the family dynamic, though, really starts to show. Like, killing all these people, like, in the family house, it starts to take its toll. And Fenton really, you know, he's had enough about this, and he runs to the cops.
Yeah.
He runs to the cops, and he brings the cop back.
Oh, man.
And it's such a great sequence where he's just, you know, where Bill Paxton's just like, what's wrong with my kid? What's he doing this for? Is it attention? Is it punishment?
But he's got him to, but that's after he's got him to dig that hole.
Yes.
You know,
because they realize they need a killing ground, which
Yeah.
is, you know, which is concealed and hidden.
And Fenton, he makes Fenton dig this hole, and the narration from Matthew McConaughey is so great, and the acting from the kid is so good that they will not pray to God. I'm going to dig this hole because you told me I had to, and I had no choice. I'm not going to wear the gloves even though you asked me. Like, Fenton really hates his dad.
Was because his dad's turned into a serial killer.
Has he? I mean... But when they finally bring the cop back, and the cop sees the dungeon, and he's just like, what's this? And Bill Paxton's like, oh, it's a storm shower. I figured we needed a storm shower. I got the kid to help me. Obviously, he's really annoyed at me. He's lashing out. And they did have a victim in there before Fenton had run away.
Yeah.
And now the victim is gone. And Fenton's just like, look, he's buried in the rose garden. I can take you there. I know where all the bodies are. And as the cop's walking up the stairs, like, the sheriff, he doesn't believe the kid, but this kid is so sincere that he's just like, what's going on? And then we hear this whack. We don't see it. We hear this whack. And the officer falls down the stairs. And then Bill Paxton's there and he nails him with the axe.
May God welcome you and keep you.
And this is the thing, like, Bill Paxton is so upset by this. Because that was innocent man that he's killed.
Well, he wasn't on the list.
No, he wasn't.
So, wasn't a demon. He was a man of God, I guess. But he found out, or they got rumbled because of his son.
Yeah.
Now, it is a bit of, I guess, a debating point here, I guess you could say. Did he have to kill that cop? Because he does say, like Bill Paxton explains to us, like, God will protect them. Like, they don't have to worry about security cameras.
But
you know, God will make them invisible whilst they're doing God's work. But I guess, I mean, killing him was definitely not God's plan.
But he did say, Bill Paxton had said to Fenton earlier that if they killed any innocent person, because Adam had brought a list saying, hey, Dad, this is my list. And the dad looks at it and he says, this is just people you don't like.
Yeah.
We can't kill people like that. That's murder. And Fenton's like, but what you're doing is murder. And Bill Paxton explains, look, if we kill innocent people, somebody will die. And so that's how I see that. The involvement of the sheriff.
Yeah.
Was the innocent sheriff being killed in that situation. Did he need to be killed? Yes, because if he had gone out into the rose garden, he would have seen all these bodies.
Yeah,
he would have.
I was under the impression that he wasn't going to. That he was adamant that this kid was just, making all this up. That cop was going home.
Oh, yeah, but can you really have a cop go home and not question all this stuff? I don't justify what
exactly.
Dad
That's why it's a big point in the film that completely affects the plot, which is why it's worth like highlighting and at least discussing.
I mean, because after this, Dad is so upset with Fenton, he locks him in the basement.
Yeah.
He locks him in the cellar and he says to him, "You're staying in there until you get a vision from God." Which still, you're sat there going, he's mad. He's taken his own son and he's locked him away in the basement. And you get the amazing parts of trying to pour the water through the hole.
Yeah.
I loved the camera shot of Fenton's head just going into zooming back.
Very simple effect.
That's it. Just
really well done
head.
though. It gives it tells you about the isolation.
Yes.
Like, I mean, the narration is great. The script is great. It's really puts you in the mindset. And it is devastating when you see, like, I mean, to be fair, I thought he'd be a bit paler when he came out.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, like, he said he got his vision from God.
But did he, or was he just lying to convince his dad to let him out?
I think he did get a vision, but I don't think it was a vision from God, because he says to him, like, I've had a vision, I'm going to work with you, and they do. And Fenton and Dad Meeks drive off. They've got this brand new killing van. The family killing van, kids. And they drive off to capture this other guy. And they capture him. I mean, the guy almost takes Bill Paxton out.
Well, I mean, at first you're just like, I mean, this guy looks like he can handle himself. And he also seems like a demon, the way he treats whoever's in the house with him.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the kid knocks something over. Bill Paxton was about to make the move and he gets taken out by him.
Yeah.
But Fenton actually saves his dad here and knocks him out. And Bill Paxton's able to finish off the job. And they drag him back to their killing field.
Yeah. But at this point, the guy is tied up. Dad's passed the axe to Fenton. And he says, right, do it. And Fenton turns and kills his dad.
Dad!
Which, for the youngest kid, it's so fucking heartbreaking, and you can hear it in the actor's voice, because like, he loved his dad, he loved his family, he looked up to him, and he even believes everything that's going on. So now that his brother has killed his dad, he's so upset, and Fenton goes to let the other guy go. No! And after Adam has killed the guy on the floor, they take him out into the rose garden. Now, we'd been flashing back to Powers Boothe and Matthew McConaughey, and we'd come to the realization that Fenton had kidnapped Adam's body after he'd killed himself on the flashback at the beginning. And he's driven it to the FBI building. And the Powers Boothe has contacted the sheriff, or the sheriff's office of their hometown, and they're annoyed because the ambulance has gone missing and the body's gone missing. And so he convinces Matthew McConaughey to take him out to the rose garden to showing where all these bodies are. And so we keep getting those little cutbacks. And that, like I said, the first flashback was a little bit jarring, but the transitions for all the other flashbacks were quite well done.
It's interesting you should say that, because the flashback at the beginning where it cuts to him in the chair drinking beer when his brother calls him was a cut. Most of the other transitions are crossfades.
Yeah.
So that's the only... I mean, there is...
I don't understand why they couldn't crossfade that first one a bit.
It's probably for very subtle reasons as to why you would do that, and that is maybe like when you crossfade, it's almost dreamlike and blurry. Maybe you don't know.
Yeah.
But like when you hard cut, it's almost like a hard fact. Like, so maybe it's like the way it hard cuts, it's more concrete and more proof of what he's saying is true, or maybe not. But the editors and the filmmakers use those transitions for different reasons.
Yeah, I knew there was a mechanical
It's up to
thing.
you to interpret why they're there, and that's what I mean about how well structured and layered this film is.
Yeah,
because there's lots of different ways to look at it.
Because that's it. Because we're at this point in the movie, the first time watching this movie, spoiler or not, there's just something about Matthew McConaughey's acting as this character that I'm just not 100% sure about.
Well, it's now in these scenes with the car, which is also, like on a shoestring budget. Like Bill Paxton was often asked, what does frailty mean to you? And he was like, he listed a lot of things, but he also listed the budget.
Yeah.
As to why this film was called Frailty. And so, instead of having, they didn't have a second unit to go and film cars driving through the country or whatever. Like, we're going to do this on a soundstage. We've got one car, and we're going to pretend we've got lights going past. We're going to pretend we've got the rain coming down.
Oh, man.
And that was it. And it's just two actors in a car on a soundstage, and the tension, the lighting, the believability, the way they basically got a dude in the background with two flashlights to pretend it's a car in the background.
Hell yeah, man.
Like all the tricks, all the money-making tricks that they could use. And this sequence is amazing. And it does stitch together, the flashbacks when you cut back to these two and how fantastic these two actors are.
Yeah.
And what's great here again is the camera work and the power struggle, where Powers Boothe is, he keeps getting caught off by Matthew McConaughey's questioning, and it's the second time his mother gets referenced since the picture at the beginning.
Yeah.
Talks about his mother then, and the way the camera positions Matthew McConaughey is in the back seat behind the grating, behind the he's imprisoned back there.
Yeah.
But by the end of the sequence, the camera is now in the back seat with him. And he's no longer imprisoned, and Powers Boothe is now imprisoned on the other side. So you could literally move through the car, and it's like a power play. Who's got the power here?
Yeah.
And again, the film language helps illustrate that. That's what I really like about it. And again, just the simplistic set, and it really works.
Yeah. Like, they get back to the Rose Garden, like, McConaughey's character said, like, I just don't want to talk anymore. Let's just drive. You want to turn up here. And they start making their way towards or through the Rose Garden. And Powers Boothe is handcuffed, Fenton, he's got his gun handy. He's taking all precautions he can. And he's talking, he's just like, so what happened after your father died? And Fenton explains that, they separated us, they put us in two different orphanages, and I really hadn't heard much from my brother over the last few years until obviously I got this phone call. But we get the quick flashback as well with Fenton saying to Adam, like, if you ever come to destroy me, bury me in the Rose Garden. And Powers Boothe, he's just like, well, that's a bit weird that you would say that to Adam for him to destroy you, and yet you buried him. And that's when McConaughey turns around and says, well, that always comes down to the fact of if you're talking to Fenton or not. And you go, oh, no.
They did the old switcheroo.
In fairness, I kind of gotten that because there was
you wikied it, you
I
bastard.
know, but there was just a way, as the story went on, that I saw similarities between Adam Young to Matthew McConaughey older.
Yeah.
And there was just, you saw the similarities a little bit. You only saw him briefly, but older Fenton and young Fenton. Now, I got a little bit confused so Fenton, dead Fenton, was a serial killer.
He became one after he had the visions in the basement. I'm guessing he got visions from somewhere else.
Well, this was it, because we come to realise that So this is why I'm not entirely sure that Fenton got visions from God. He got a message to tell him to kill his dad to stop this. But I also believe like the killings twisted his mind a bit. Like it doesn't really go into much detail about how Fenton was killing people. He kept trophies, bodies in their basement.
All we know is that like Bill Paxton tells Adam that his brother is a demon.
That's it, because we get the whisper.
And that he was told to kill his son. You know, it was a test from God to kill his son, who is a demon, and he failed to do it, and subsequently was killed himself by his demon son.
Yes, that's it. And you get it as well that Adam couldn't kill his brother until his brother turned up on the list.
Right.
And we actually realised, just before the complete revelation about Powers Boothe, we cut back to the kills and we cut back to the flashes. And so we see like the woman at the beginning, she murdered a guy in her bed. You know, the old man with the glasses, he killed children. He was a child murderer. I mean, we don't know what the biker guy did, but like, I'll just assume he was a dick, you know. And so they are killing demons, but not necessarily the demons that you'd imagine. Horns, red eyes, you know, a pitchfork. We're talking just generally bad fucking people. The vision, like, to see that fully made me believe that they were getting visions from God.
Well, it could be like a shared, you know, psychotic break that they're both having. But at the same time, it's just like...
He sees the visions, dude.
But at the same time, it's the person who's been narrating the entire film telling us this. And it's like, well, how much do we believe of everything that he said anyway?
Well, because Adam touches the hand of Powers Boothe.
Yes.
And has the flash image of Powers Boothe killing his own mother. We don't know why. All we know is that
Powers Boothe turned out he was a villain.
Oh, surprise. You know, we'd known at the beginning that she died a couple of days after that picture had been taken. We don't know why she was killed, but then he fucking stabs her. And I thought it was a bit over the top, like 6 or 7 stabs, the blood
over the blankets, yeah.
I'm like...
It was the red on white. I don't know, it was effective.
Well, Powers Boothe with blood on his face kind of fits, you know? But I was like, after everything else we'd seen, it was a bit... over the top.
Again, it's another one of those things where Bill Paxton always said that like he intended you to watch this film a couple of times to see things that you might have missed, and like going all the way back to the beginning when Matthew McConaughey and Powers Boothe first meet, and Powers Boothe goes to shake his hand,
and he doesn't.
He gives the picture of his mother back.
Yeah.
There's a sequence where he goes to usher him into the car, and Matthew McConaughey's like, "No, don't touch me."
Yeah.
And so it's just literally because if he touches the person, he'll see the visions.
And they'll see it as well,
Yes, yeah. So the game would have been over right from the get-go. So again, it's just like all those details, all those things that you don't think mean anything, actually mean something.
Yeah.
So good.
It was great.
And then now we have the payoff, the end of the film.
Yeah, he nails Powers Boothe in the face with an axe. I mean, we don't see it, but we can imagine that that's what's happened. And then... it cuts back to the next morning. The FBI agency is going mad because they don't know where the cop is. They know there was a visitor there last night. Witnesses even saw him, but they cannot remember what he looked like. The CCTV cameras are worthless. God himself is blinding these people from being able to see this. And so what was really quite sneaky was when the FBI agent... they go back to Fenton's house. And they find what appears to be the basement, bodies, you know. But
they find Agent Doyle's
badge,
yeah.
Yeah, and so they immediately just assume that Fenton is the killer. He's the God Hands killer. He's been doing this for ages. So then when they go to the sheriff's station in this hometown, and we'd heard about the sheriff, and when the sheriff comes out, and it's Matthew McConaughey, it's Adam. And he speaks to the FBI agent, and the FBI agent, he kind of recognizes him, but he just carries on with the questioning, like, have you ever heard from your brother? Do you know what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And they question, and Matthew McConaughey's like, no, man. I know, man. I've never heard... Matthew McConaughey just talks like that.
Well, I mean, they're basically the 3 main actors in this film. They're all Texans. The whole film's set in Texas. It's just like, it works.
I questioned if the receptionist was pregnant with Adam's baby. I
Oh,
kind
absolutely!
Of got that feeling.
It's setting up the family business will continue.
Yeah.
You know, and just to solidify that, it's a weird Twilight Zone thing that Bill Paxton thought would be kind of fun. Is that the two kids that played the younger versions go scooting past as the film fades to black. So you're just like, whoa!
I heard the kids, but I was too busy making notes. I was like, oh my god, I can hear it.
It's like it's going to go all the way around. But yeah, I mean, it's like the axe that has Otis written on it. It's like, is that the dad's name? Was this the dad's weapon before him, and he didn't know about his dad having a mission from God? Is it like a passed down generation to generation? Why is the axe called Otis?
Yes.
I mean, it has a real world explanation, and it was Bill Paxton wanted to give some money to a homeless person who rejected the money, and he was like, well, how about I buy your name instead?
Oh, wow.
Paid for the Otis name to go on the axe. Yet other people have assumed that Otis means only the innocent survive.
Wow.
So and it's just like, what does it mean? And Bill Paxton mainly was like, I wanted the axe to have a personality in the film. And it does.
It kind of does, because when you first see it, it's old and rusty, but towards the end of the film, it's shiny, it's clean, he's taking care of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, before the realization of the moments where we realize that Fenton is a demon or is supposed to be killed, there's a couple of moments where his dad has stood there with the axe looking like he might kill his son.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know why he wants to do that. But when he says later on, like, you're a demon, or your dad should have killed him, you're like, he was fighting that all the way through.
Yeah, his son was probably on the list at some point.
He could have been third on the list, but he just kept skipping past him. It was top notch.
So yeah, it's a wholly satisfying conclusion to the film. Again, like the joke where he turns out he is the sheriff.
Yeah.
You know, and Agent Doyle in the car was just like, oh, you're so good at this. Maybe you should have been a cop.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, he is.
And he even has that shake hand with the agent at the end.
Yes.
And he just holds on for it for a second. He's just like, you're a good man. And it's like, you got away there. You got away.
Well, what were your favourite scenes from Frailty?
Oh, man, I had a few. Like, I loved the night sequence with him waking them up. I really surprisingly enjoyed, like I said, from that moment where the camera was going back, you know, and the two of them are looking so hypnotically at Fenton, like, join us, join us, you know, to then go into the next morning and it to even play off like it was a dream, like it didn't really happen. He's been watching far too many movies, but then the final line by Bill Paxton saying, like, don't tell anybody what we said, and the kid's realization, like, fuck, it was real. You know, the finding of the axe, like, is that real? Did he really see light shining from God? I believe so. Like, I believe that the character of Dad in this was delivering God's message, you know, because, like we said, the editing, the story construction and the editing of making you think that he's a complete psycho to that point where you see the flashes and you immediately, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like, yes, kill them with axes. You know, he's even like, he gives them respectful burials. Like the angel has told him that the bodies have to be buried in a certain way. We don't know why or how, you know, but they have to be like that. And they don't do the same with the police officer or the dad when they bury them, you know, because they weren't killed in God's way. But the killing with the axe at the end, you know, of Bill Paxton, that was harsh. You know, I find it difficult to watch Bill Paxton die, I gotta admit. But it was made even worse by the reaction of Adam, you know, and how he's talking to his dad, and then his dad's final words that we don't hear.
Yeah.
But we know later on that he's a demon, you have to kill him. Fenton's view, you know, like, they get that Edward March character, and Fenton, he doesn't believe, and so you don't believe the dad, you know, but you also can't help yourself because you've seen all this gathering evidence that this is true. But the young actor playing Fenton, especially when he gets locked in the basement, you know, and he says, like, my mind broke, I became insane, and you see that head shot go all the way back. I loved that when he was pouring the water through. I thought I'll go on a limb and say I thought Bill Paxton's camera work and editing, even his direction, was on point with this movie. You know, taking into account that this guy had worked on films a lot with a lot of outstanding directors, that to not pick up some notes, to not pick up your own information and then stick it in. You know, he shone so much better than some other shitty directors out there. Any scenes, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the most of them. I love the first introduction with Powers Boothe and Matthew McConaughey. I really wished that Bill Paxton could have had on-screen time with these two as well. That would have been really amazing. But like that, the opening sequence I thought was really good. Really just gets you in the mood for the film that's to follow. The sequence where he does get the axe, the barn, like this barren landscape. Really thought that was very effective. The sequence where he's telling the kids for the first time about the vision, the plan, the dream, the demons, and what they're going to be doing, the list. And of course, like, all of the killings were done in a fairly artistic, in a minimalistic way as well.
They were.
It was still enough to have people walk out of the theater. Like Bill Paxton said in the premiere, he counted 25 people walking out because they were horrified of the religious implications, the torture and murder of this innocent woman, you know, all of those things. So I'm pretty sure Bill Paxton and the crew were proud.
Yeah.
Because what they accomplished moved people right out of the theater. But there's so many great scenes. The acting is fantastic. So yeah, there's no real standout scene. Maybe the car ride, and you know, just how effective the filmmaking is, and their performance, and the power play as it transitions from one to the other. Probably that sequence, I would say. Well, Ian, do you recommend Frailty?
I really do. Thinking back now, like I said, the only point of the movie I wasn't too sure on was that first flashback, but it's so quick. And the rest of the movie just kind of overshadows it. It just sets you right up. Matthew McConaughey is fucking amazing. Like, the more of his stuff that I watch from the past, you know, things that you didn't think he was able to build his career on. You know, you look at him now, he's amazing. You look at him then, he was amazing. He just had to be put into things that people had to see. Him going up against Powers Boothe. You know, like Gary said, you really think that Powers Boothe is the one in control with all the power? Fuck that. Matthew McConaughey is calm, calculated, and he's in control, and you don't even realize it. Bill Paxton was just amazing, beautiful in this movie, and the fact that he directed it himself, you know, the fact that he would be saying to the actors off camera, like, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, and probably listen to their input as well about, well, can I do this and can we do that? You know, his relationship with the two boys and just watching that go up and down, it's just, you can believe what you want to believe with this movie. Like Gary said, it's got so many multi-levels that I'm sure there's people out there who go, nah, it was all fake. But that's just how good the movie is, that it will just keep you talking after.
Oh, hell yeah. This is a real easy recommendation from me. It's a must-watch. It's such a good film that it deserves to be seen by more than have. Bill Paxton was a fantastic character actor, always memorable in every role, and here is proof that he was just as gifted as a filmmaker. This dark psychological thriller has great performances from everyone involved, and the child actors really delivered their parts well. The film was incredibly well shot by the fantastic Bill Butler of Jaws fame, who understood the low budget and yet still achieved amazing results with the cinematography and film language to convey so much. The story is riveting and engaging and leads to many twists along its dark descent into madness and murder, and a revelation that will have you thinking as the credits roll. It's a multi-layered film. It rewards you for paying attention. It surprises you on second viewing and is really entertaining while doing so. You have to watch Frailty. It's a must-watch. A fantastic debut as director and a highly engrossing, disturbing, spiritual thriller. No soul is safe. There are demons amongst us. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart.
Where?
Down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. And if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on a tack, on a tack.
Ouch.
Sit on a tack. Ouch. Sit on.
Well, have a good day at school, boys. And remember not to tell anyone what I told you last night.
You won't, Dad.